Social media versus traditional media in the election campaign. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. I'm one of those rare beasts that exists in heavily in both the online world and traditional legacy media. Let me tell you, the audiences are different, how people consume news is different, and how they impact campaigns is also quite different. But someone who understands this better than me, Jeff Ballingall with Mobilize Media, the man behind Canada Proud and several other online groups, and according to the logic, the man who whose firm created the 35 of the 50 most popular memes or posts about Mark Carney in the last little while. Jeff, explain that. You guys are all in on Mark Carney or just posting about him a lot? What are you doing to get that much attention?
Sure. So my firm works for Canada Proud, which I also founded, and we were heavily active. We still are, but prior to the election being called, we were heavily active in terms of posting paid advertising and organic content online. We were dominating, according to the logic, we dominated Facebook. No one else was even close, and we were creating the top Facebook posts and the top Instagram posts of the top 50 for each platform. We were the dominant. We were over 30 of the top 50 for each platform. So we're reaching millions of Canadians, still are every day. We're reaching at least 1 million people see our content without paid advertising. And prior to when we were doing paid advertising, it was much higher than that. So we were very happy going into the election, and we still have lots more work to do prior to E-Day at the end of this month.
Now, just so nobody is under any illusion, you guys aren't out there supporting Mark Carney.
No.
Canada Proud leans to the conservative side. You'd be much happier with the Pierre Poilievre win. We are not going to pretend that you're nonpartisan in this in any way, shape, or form. So let's talk about it. A year or two ago, if you and I were talking about this, you would not be saying that Facebook is very important in this election. But they changed the algorithm after the American election, said we're back into the business of free speech. I've noticed it myself. You know, I had a very active Facebook following prior to 2018 when they started to downplay political content. I used to get hundreds of thousands of people watching my live feeds, my radio show every month. It was great for putting content out. Then they changed and it became dormant. And I had this big audience that would say, we can't see your stuff. I'd post something political, 500 people would see it. I'd post a photo of my dog, Chloe, thousands would see it. It was such a weird thing. And now it's changed. How big has it become again? Because I can tell you they are out there allowing this material. I'm hitting a big audience, and I don't even have the big followings that you or any of the political leaders have. How big is this in the campaign in 2025 as compared to, say, 2021?
It's completely different. So yeah, shortly after 2016, they started clamping down on political content, like you said. Facebook did, but now that the throttles have been unleashed again, and with the Meta news ban, the Toronto Sun can't post links online, the CBC can't, and so that's left a huge vacuum for commentary, political third parties, nonprofit groups like Canada Proud. That are able to use this loophole and speak to Canadians. So, for instance, we put a video up last night it's just a raw video of Mark Carney's convoy of his campaign bus and RCMP vehicles and other entourage. Driving down what I believe is the 401. In the left lane. It's a long convoy, and it just it speaks to a lot of people thinking that they're hogging the left lane, and they're seeing the carbon footprint of that and the hypocrisy. And it's just a simple little video, and it doesn't really say much, but these are the raw moments that really interest people. And so within 12 hours, it had almost 1 million views. I'm sure it's over 1 million views now, but it was 900,000 views as of this morning. So. And this is something I think is really important in modern politics. Is you need stakeholders, you need surrogate groups. I'm a small C conservative. I support the Conservatives. I was in the Doug Ford war room in the last provincial election. I've worked on multiple campaigns throughout my career. For the Canada Proud thing, I think it's really important that you find outside groups that can say and do things that political parties can't. And using new media and new platforms and different voices to repeat and amplify your message. And I think that's why it's so critical for groups like Canada Proud to be able to, put out a video of a Mark Carney convoy, because certainly the Conservative Party, couldn't, and it still has that important effect. So it's a cultural
And the Liberals are going
conversation.
to have their own groups as well. Less so the NDP. They seem to be absent from this election. I'm not sure anyone called them and told them that it's on. Jagmeet Singh and his team are MIA, but every party is going to have similar groups or try similar things. What works? What punches through other than a video of Mark Carney's entourage on the highway? What is it that people will engage with in a Facebook or an Instagram setting that they might not on X or Twitter?
So it's interesting. So there was this group that was very active prior to the election that was supporting the Liberals called Protecting Canada, a Union Front group. But they outspent us. I believe they outspent us on Facebook, and they certainly outspent us everywhere else because we didn't do any television advertising. But they were spending millions of dollars on traditional ads, and I don't think they had nearly the impact. They certainly didn't come close to us on Facebook. So I think it's understanding what a social media user wants and needs, and how to make the algorithms work for you. And a lot of them aren't. They don't think about the user experience. They just blast a TV ad on social and think that's it. And I think it's really important to have what's called these purple cow moments that will, as people are scrolling, they're going to notice. So I believe it's a term coined by Mr. Beast, who's probably the most prolific YouTuber on the planet.
Most popular by far.
Yeah. So if you don't know him, he's really popular. My son loves him. He's quite popular. But he figured out years ago that it's the effect of you're driving down the street and you're driving down in the country and you see a bunch of cows and you won't notice it, you won't think about it. But if you see a purple cow, you're gonna turn your head, you're gonna look. And so it's about how do you create these moments online to get people to care. So one of the things that my firm does, for whether it's for Canada Proud or our other political clients or private sector clients, is that we try to figure out ways to get noticed. You can do that with bright colors. You can do that with quick shots. You can do that with a number of things. And I think it speaks to not only how the content is produced, but how in how you do it. So I think that's why it's really important that Mark Carney had that huge win with Mike Myers, because that was a purple cow moment. You're scrolling by a speech by Mark Carney, yawn, no one cares, but him, at the hockey boards, it was a set. But speaking of Mike Myers, I found it very cringy, but I think the target audience was boomers, and it certainly got boomers' attention. It went viral. It was a big win for the Liberals. Very smart for them, and I think this is what the type of moments that campaigns need to do. And so find these moments where, Pierre is doing really, really well at rallies. He's doing really well at podium events. But now how does he move past that and showcase that he's doing something different? Because that's how he needs to get noticed if he's going to be culturally impactful.
So he needs that purple cow moment. But when you look at, he goes live, he streams his rallies on all the social platforms. And I've seen it where people watching his rally on X alone, that audience will be bigger than a traditional TV network now. And then he's also streaming it on his Facebook page, where he's got, I think, 800,000 followers.
Oh, yeah.
He's streaming it on YouTube. How much, streams like that, he gets far bigger audiences than Carney, who's just started streaming directly to people, because you can say, well, just let the TV networks do it. Well, they go in and out. If you want people to see your whole thing, you've got to stream it yourself. Poilievre's getting huge audiences. Carney's just starting. Is that an untapped advantage that Poilievre has?
I think so. I think it's huge. I think Poilievre has such a massive engaged base. Pierre has done, it's years of work of him cultivating a massive audience of this huge network of support of people across the country. And I think you're seeing that online and offline, right? His rally numbers are big. His online numbers are big. But it's also, what I'm concerned is the silent majority. Is the silent majority going to turn up for Pierre, or are they going to turn up for Carney? Because I'm convinced there's a lot of baby boomers who are going to default back to the Liberals because of this election dynamics. And how do we make sure that, how do you reach boomers how does PR reach boomers, but also how do you make sure that your voters turn up, or your soft voters turn up, the people that would never attend a rally or maybe watch a stream, but might consume, Six Buzz online or other new media on Instagram or YouTube. How do you make sure that those people are going to crawl through glass to go to the polls for you? And I think that is a huge challenge for PR's team, and that is going to be, I'm sure, going to be a big part of what they're doing in the next few weeks.
Well, so I would say that they've got to look for low propensity voters, people who don't normally go out. They've got to convince that younger demographic that is between, say, 25 and 50 to show up for them. And, 55 plus is headed towards the Liberals, over 50%, but he's still got 30-odd% in that age bracket. How does he use social media? I would say Facebook is the social media platform for people in that age bracket who are casual about their politics. How does he use this platform, to find that purple cow moment to break through? Because that would be very different on Facebook for trying to reach that specific boomer audience than, say, trying to attract young people on Instagram or on TikTok. What does that look like for them?
So I think there's two ways you can achieve that. Either you go directly to influencers and you work with influencers, you maybe do an interview with them, a podcast, something different. Like the Trump campaign and the Kamala Harris campaign in the fall were very successful. Trump did, a YouTube golf podcast, YouTube show on golf. Kamala Harris went on
Call Her Daddy,
Call Me Daddy, the podcast for young women. He did the Theo Vaughn podcast, a very popular comedian. And he also did.
But we don't have that culture.
We don't. But what we do have is
Pierre will do an interview with me on this platform, and he will get 1 million to 1.5 million views, more than he would ever get on TV, by coming on with me. But my audience is already backing him, most likely.
Right.
Who are those other influencers in Canada? Do you see any?
I see lots. I mean, I do work with Six Buzz, full disclosure. They are an Instagram page in Toronto that has 2.4 million followers. I think, doing a moment with them would be big. There's other groups like them across the country. There's, YEG Wave in Edmonton. There's Van City. There's ones in Vancouver. Anything like that I think would be really impactful. But it's also about creating those moments that will then go viral on social media. So, Trump is a master. I won't give him a lot of credit on his policies, but on his retail politics, he's quite skilled. And, the McDonald's moment or the garbage truck moment, these things that are the purple cow moments, as we were talking about, they're going to get people noticed, right? And Pierre's got to figure out those moments that look different, that create a connection, that get noticed. He's also doing a really good job of late, doing more direct-to-camera work. He's not just behind a podium. He's not just in rallies. He's up close, similar to how we are right now, when the people watching this video are going to feel much closer to us. It's much more intimate than if we were further behind a podium talking to each other like a debate.
I would say, he's had a few moments, especially with his kids of late.
Yeah.
With Cruz, his young son making the pizza, and then, Cruz does everything right, and then Pierre, flops the pizza.
And you handled that really well too. Yeah,
that's a great personal touching moment. He needs more of those, is what you're saying, to break through.
Yeah, and I think between his family and his wife Anna, I think those are great moments. But you got to make sure that those shots are close up and visible. Like a lot of them have been really good, but a lot of them are too far out, cropped out, so you don't see their faces. And I think it says a little attention to detail that really makes a difference. But they're doing such a great job. Using the family and leveraging Pierre's softer side and showing that, Anna isn't just a typical political spouse. She's truly a partner in that relationship. And I think, she's so good in her speeches, and their kids are so cute. So I think they're doing a great job there. But I certainly think using the team more would be really, really wise. Using Melissa Lanceman, using, Karen Stintz, using Michelle Rempel out west. There's really showing women as well. I think is really important. And they need to show that they're not Trump. They don't need to say that they're not Trump, but they do need to show that they're not Trump. So by using more women, by doing new media, by really creating those moments where people can really emotionally connect with Pierre is incredibly important to hedge against or defend against the attacks coming from the Liberals, and also create that connection that voters want, because they want to vote for change, but a lot of people are scared, and if they listen to a lot of the mainstream media, they won't get the full story, and they'll just default back to Orange Man bad, Trump bad, can't vote for Pierre, got to vote for Liberals.
Okay, I was going to let you go there, but you brought up traditional media. Give me your thoughts on the difference, because I have a lot of people in my audience who are in that 55-plus boomer category who tell me they have given up on mainstream media, but there's another whole group that does not get their news online, that consumes the traditional networks. Talk to me about the difference in audience.
Sure. So I can give examples. I think, my parents are one set of examples. They're in their early 70s. They consume, they'll watch CBC News and then they'll flip to Fox, and they always joke that it's like different realities. But they'll also watch YouTube. They're big fans of yours. They watch Pierre's stuff directly. And then my son's grandparents, they don't watch anything online. They are CBC, Globe and Mail diehards, and they live in a completely different reality. And I think it's really interesting seeing how both consume media and how that influences their political perceptions.
And how the campaigns have to try and react, because you can't give up on one and just say, well, we're just going all in on this. You've got to be trying to speak to all of them. You might be segmenting your message, but you got to try, right?
Exactly, and I think it's really important. And Trudeau was so good. I mean, he's always had a friendly media environment, but he was always good in creating those moments where it was not just a traditional media interview. But it was done in an untraditional way. So he might do a walk and talk with Rosie Barton through a park. That's the sort of stuff that I think if I was advising Pierre, I would have him do, is try to find a journalist, even if it's you, is to not just do an interview like this, but you two grab a coffee or go for a walk or just do anything where it's more casual, more conversational, and maybe longer form. And that way, it's less confrontational, less traditional. It's different, and it feels like more of an impactful, real, authentic moment than your traditional just asking questions at a podium.
Jeff, great insights as always. Check out Jeff Ballingall. Mobilize Media is his firm, but also behind Canada Proud. You can find them on Facebook, on X, all the social platforms. Talk to you soon, Jeff.
Thank you so much.
All right, let us know what you think of what you heard. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.